Oh, get your microphone in your voice.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta put in these damn earphones.
Okay, now why does it still say one waiting?
I don't know. Don't worry about it. It lags a little bit.
Whoa.
Oh, you gotta turn off the volume.
Every time.
Same thing happened last week. I feel like we're not
happens
getting a
every
lot of
time.
noise through there, but
Through where?
on there.
Oh, I don't know. We're hitting the middle mark thing.
Yeah. All right. I guess we'll get started.
Okay.
We're not gonna talk to
There's
ourselves.
people on Instagram.
Hey guys on Instagram, if you want better audio quality, YouTube is always a little bit better. But this is, what's the number, 36?
36.
And we are going to talk a little bit about some updates of our breeding season and updates of all other stuff that's going on.
Yeah. Also,
and it's obviously just the two of us.
Yeah, I was about to say that for the last 3-4 weeks, we've had guests on here, but today it's just back to the two originals. Not as exciting.
Yeah, but next week we will have on Dr. Travis Wyman, who is a geneticist. So we will get to talk about all different things gene-wise, and it may get a little scientific up in here. And
so is he like geneticist of a bunch of shit? Like he does only snakes?
I think what he does professionally is he works in a lab with plants, I believe. But he also breeds ball pythons. So
how boring does that sound? Studying the genes of plants.
How dare you?
All the
why
time.
Don't you tell him, you asshole.
I mean, he might think my job is boring. To each his own.
No, your job is just annoying.
Okay.
Children.
To each his own. But to me, studying plants in a lab all day, I don't know.
All right, whatever. But it's also half of what genetics go into. A lot of what goes on in the hobby now.
Yeah.
So it's just, well, I guess if you're into snakes at the level that most of us are that are listening or watching, you get into genetics at one point or another, whether you like it or not, because you're breeding. Why does my voice crack when it's just
it's
us?
Only when it's just us. When the other
I think because I'm just not talking as much when the other people are here. But
that's very
true.
The
thing is, like, yeah, we're gonna get into genetics as far.
Evan says plants are badass.
I mean, and I think he does like pitcher plants and stuff, which is cool.
What?
Pitcher plants, like carnivorous plants. Well, I don't know. We can talk about it, but
okay. Well,
either way, it's like really cool that he's gonna come on because there was a thing that came up on a group on Facebook, so I wanted to get his opinion on it. So what happened is someone, I'm just gonna be very vague with, I don't want to throw names out there and shit. So someone in the colubrid classifieds posted a palmetto corn snake, which palmetto is it's a gene that I have, but it's basically an incomplete leucistic snake. As far as it's white, it's the closest thing we have to leucistic in corn snakes, but it's white with, specks of the animal's natural color. So
is there another name? Is it also called the candy cane, or is that something different?
No, that's something totally different.
Okay. Sorry. I just couldn't remember if there's another name for palmetto.
No. Palmetto. Okay.
So just palmetto.
So someone posted a palmetto with bug eyes. For what we're seeing at this point, from people I've talked to, I heard it from Don Soderberg, also heard it from guys we talked to at NERBC. We're looking at about 10% of the rat snakes are coming out with these bug eyes. Now, the guy was selling it for like a good amount of money. So it came down to like, do you cull all the animals with big eyes?
Do you what?
Cull meaning kill.
Oh.
We went over this word before, but
sorry.
Do you cull all the ones with big eyes? And do you breed them out, or do you sell them as pets? And then as pets, how much are they worth as pets? How do you make sure that people don't breed them in the future?
Why do you need to stop people from breeding them in the future? It's just bug eyes.
Right, but their idea is that bug eyes will produce more bug eyes and you have more chance of bug-eyedness.
But is it is bug-eyedness? Oh, sorry. Is bug-eyedness a bad thing? Like, to me, it's just a thing. Like having.
I mean, I'm sure it's detrimental to a certain degree if they get really big. I mean, it's just something we don't want, right? It's You want your animal to look normal, but
it's definitely not the need to kill it.
Right. But you can't trust people to not breed it. If you're gonna sell it, people are probably gonna breed it. But the fact is that, I mean, does it even matter? So genetically speaking, will you pass down more bug eyes to that animal? So that's what I talked to. That's why, well, there's people arguing. And then I said, I think it's always going to be present in palmettos no matter what you do. Like, just, it's going to be there. But some other people said you have to outcross them because the bug eyes are due to inbreeding. But what I'm thinking is that every corn snake mutation, most of them, 90% of them, are recessive, which means that you need two animals carrying the traits that are basically related at some level because it's coming from one animal. So you're basically inbreeding in order just to make any recessive mutation. Then why aren't we seeing these bug eyes in all the other recessive mutations? Well, because I didn't want to argue it because whatever, just arguing bullshit because you're talking to a bunch of people who aren't basing their argument in science. And either am I at that point.
Evan says bug eyes are ugly as fuck.
But I mean, either am I basing my opinion in science at that point. But I think that it's not going to matter. So I talked to Dr. Travis Wyman, and he said that the way melanin is dispersed, as far as, you know, leucistic is the obliteration of all the melanin in the animal. It's a pure white snake. So the delivery system of how that gene works, I should have popped up my conversation with him before so I could sound not stupid. But basically the way it works is the same, pretty much the same cells that are giving the color, that are fucking telling it not to produce melanin, are also what goes into formation of the eyes. So you see a lot of the leucistics also have malformations of the eyes because that's just the way the mutated gene kind of works.
And is that across all snakes, just in corn snakes?
He said that he sees it something also in blue-eyed leucistic and ball pythons. And I didn't even know about that, but I mean, we were kind of talking about it because we were, because I was like, you know, why aren't people talking about that in ball pythons? And we kind of agreed that no one talked about it in palmetto. No one talked about it. Well, some people talked about it in palmetto, but they're saying you can outcross it to get it out just because they're selling their projects. So he said he thinks it is something that's basically baked into the very
just gene
nature of the way that the mutation works. Like I mentioned in that little argument, which wasn't an argument because I didn't want to argue about it because I would rather have, you know, a PhD in genetics come in and tell you this fact straight up. But I mean, you're working with a bunch of genes that are like broken in some form or fashion. That's why the color is different. I mean, normal genes, a normal snake with normal genes. I mean, if you think it changes color in a snake, maybe it changes something else, you know? It doesn't always just change the color of a snake. Like, how could we get so lucky that every mutation just
does one
the
thing,
outside appearance of the snake? I mean, there's so many different
things that work together,
going on, and things that we don't take into account because we don't really care because we're just breeding snakes for money
color.
And a dub. So
yeah. So Evan,
we'll get more into that, you know, with him because I'd rather have a much better scientifically based
person
argument about this. You know, I'm no geneticist, but I can tell you what I've seen in the hobby in the past because leucistic rat snakes also have this bug-eyedness.
Gotcha.
And I forgot about it in palmettos, but Steve from SMT, I talked to him and he said, do you know anything about the bug eye in palmetto? I didn't know that it happened. And I said, you know, I don't think it will persist in the future because I have outcrossed animals, but I take my opinion back.
Yeah, now you think it's going to continue.
And then now I want to tell everyone. I don't give a fuck.
So Evan asks, he said, so is it something that's inherited or is it just a deformity, the bug-eyedness?
So the way he explained it was that it's kind of just happenstance. It's kind of a reaction to the way the gene works, the mutation works. So, and then also he mentioned that, you know, genes don't work as far as this goes in an on and off. So you don't either have bug eyes or you don't.
You have a variation of bug-eyedness.
So you have, it's a dimmer from high to low, he was saying. So you can get anywhere on the spectrum. So it's not necessarily this animal has no bug-eyedness, so I can breed it to one that has no bug-eyedness.
And you're going to get no bug-eyed.
The chance is still going to be there because you're opening the door to this mistake happening because
of the leucistic gene, right?
Right. Oh my God. I need to actually bring it up so that I can stop being very vague about it. Okay. Because I want to use the actual words he used.
Well, let me repeat what I think my understanding is. When you're breeding any leucistic snakes, that gene that makes it leucistic, for some reason in the snake body, also controls how the eyes are formed. Right. So when that gene is working to give the snake whatever degree of leucism. Leucism. I was about to say leucisticdism. That's not the word. When the gene is working to give the snake whatever degree of leucism, it's also working to give it whatever degree of bug-eyedness that it's going to give it. Correct?
Kind of. And I kind of had to ask him a million questions after as well, which is why it'd be good to have him on here. Because it's like, I'm making sure I got this right. So what he says is with leucistics and possibly palmettos, because that's the closest thing we have at this point, the mutation is one that affects the migration of melanocytes. So I'm guessing that's melanocytes,
because we moves know around melanin
as the embryo develops. Most people know that melanocytes are pigmentation cells, but very few know that they also act as traffic cops during embryonic development, sort of pointing other cells where they need to go. When you snafu the melanocytes, meaning the leucistic mutation, they cannot effectively direct traffic and the other cells go awry. And one of the places melanocytes do traffic duty is in the formation of the eye.
Okay.
With that in mind, it is not then difficult to understand why the bug eye phenotype pops up in leucistic morphs.
Because it messes up that traffic direction.
Right, because... And then as for why it does not always happen, melanocytes are not the only cells that direct traffic. So there may be some type of safeguard in place to where, it's directed correctly by all the other ones.
I'm lost.
You're doing all right. So the signals in genetics are not simply turn on and off, but are sort of a dimmer up and down. And how far up or down the dimmer is turned can be impacted by any number of genes. That can also be turned up or down by still more genes. With the bug eyes, you have a situation where one signal is dropped out and some others are tuned wrong, which causes the eyes to develop incorrectly. The robustness of the genome means that this only happens on a lower frequency rate.
I got none of that.
So I think it's always going to be there. You can increase or decrease your likelihood, I guess, but when you're putting more genes on top of them, it seems that you're asking yourself to get all types of different things because all other things are going on. But
yeah, so we will definitely get into that more next week when he's here. Not here. Excuse me. We're calling him. But I will definitely preface to him that we are not geneticists, even close, and so he's gonna have to dumb it down a little bit.
Well, no, we're gonna work from the base to the top. So I mean, we're not gonna go really, really basic. You may be a little lost, but
would you consider what you just read really basic?
No, I had to Google a lot of the shit, but I'm gonna have them break it down more than that, I think. But so we're gonna be first, what is a melanocyte or whatever, and break it down that way. But anyway,
so okay, it'll be cool to have him.
Yeah.
Okay, totally different subject, but they asked twice, so I feel bad. They asked, "What's your favorite morph in ball pythons?"
I'm not really invested in any of them. I don't really care, but pied if I had to pick one. What about you?
I don't know. I used to have a favorite, like pretty much anything banana, but just all pythons.
Pythons.
That's what their name should be now. Just pythons. All pythons just don't. I don't know. They don't get me excited anymore because I just see so many other ones. My thing, there's so many other.
You're not
species,
immersed in it enough, but,
right? To like get into it.
I don't want to waste.
I do like dreamsicles.
What our favorite ball?
I like dreamsicles.
So we wanted to kind of update on what's going on from like, because we're breeding colubrids. So I was going to breed jungle carpets, but they're all males. So that doesn't really work like that. So just colubrids this year. I'm so disappointed because I felt like I was going to have stuff to do and like play around.
And now our whole fall is kind of gone.
Yeah. So fall, what I'm just making sure is that females are where I want them to be. As far as if they're going to breed next year, before I get them in brumation, they need to be good to go before brumation because they're not getting any fatter while brumating, you know? So if anything, they're getting a little bit skinnier, probably not much at all, if any, but
keeping even.
But I want to make sure that they're good to go so that when they come out of brumation, hammer them with food. And, you know, it's not going to be a big deal for them to get all the energy to produce eggs. Well, once they get out to produce eggs. So, I mean, I don't want to get them fat, but I want them to be not skinny. That's for sure. I want them to have some insurance
during that brumating time.
Yeah. So that's right now. So what I'm really doing is the hognose are a bit harder than like say the corn snakes to get going. Such a fast metabolism. They also don't want to ever eat anything that's bigger than their body. Not even close.
That's like, for all of the ones we have.
No. I mean that's a generalization. If you're talking about ball pythons, do it about the size of their body. But like carpets, you're gonna do bigger than the size of their body. Corn snakes, you're gonna do about the size of their body, but you can do multiple prey items. But as far as hognose go, they always want to lean towards the small side. So it's like you kind of end up giving them more meals, you know, more prey items. And then you also have to give them prey items every 2 to 3 days because their metabolisms are so fast. So it's been a hustle because during the other months, you know, you don't have to stress it if they're eating or not eating. But during these months, it's so important to get them ready. That
I think our female is going to be easier than our male.
Yeah, the male really only wants it when he wants it.
As far as food, he's so picky and random as far as when he wants to eat more or eat less. So it's like, what do you do if they're not? I mean, you're not about to force feed it, so it's just you just keep trying to like build up that weight for.
Well, he's been eating pretty good. It's just he didn't eat exactly what we wanted him to eat, or he didn't eat the two large pinkies. He only ate one, which is fine. I'll give him one every 2 to 3 days. It's just I also still have to scent him all the time, but with scenting, I'm just rolling them in tuna juice. And, you know, that's getting enough of a scent on there because in the wild, they're going to be eating toads. So for whatever reason, tuna must smell more like a toad, you know, and then my female, she'll only eat rodents. Even if I put in like a Reptile with frog, she still wants rodents.
But it's consistent. Like she'll eat. She never doesn't eat.
She'll eat. She just won't eat something big. She'll just eat small things. And then when she's done, she's done. And then also it's like they don't know whether to hiss or strike at you
all the time.
And then you're holding the rodent, and then she'll hit it with her nose and move it out of place, and she'll try to get it with her mouth, but she's like not coordinated enough to get it. So it's like
why
really
are you knocking it around if you can't get it?
Yeah. Oh, they think that sock is dog shit.
What?
That's what they said. They said there's dog shit by the door, but it's a sock in front of the dryer.
No, they can't see that. I'm sitting in the dryer in front.
No, that's what they just said, I think.
No, they're talking about the
guitar stand?
The guitar stand.
Oh. But anyway.
Okay, wait. Pause. Back it up. Someone asked, how do you do brumation living in the South?
It's really hard. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do it this year yet. And it's getting pretty close, but I mean, we do have like an outside storage place, but it's so hard because it will be 55 at night, but 90 during the day.
It will not be 90 in the
but I'm
end
saying
of
right now it is. So it's like,
but
it's always a large jump in temperature.
Yes.
It's never
consistent.
If it was 55 to 70 every day, that's one thing, but it's always like during these areas. Maybe in November it'll be a little bit different. I don't remember exactly what the temperature was like. Maybe it was like
it's gonna be different in November to 80.
But
yeah,
so
can you handle 50 to 80?
I'm really gonna play it by ear. I'm not sure if I want that much of a swing. I'm sure it'd be fine, but I may end up resorting to maybe going room temperature, keeping something a little bit colder, as far as keeping something like 65 degrees and just not feeding and keep on water. So, I mean, if you can manipulate the amount of feeding and they realize
that gets them ready for it,
I'm not getting fed as much as I usually do. And then you can also replicate a little bit of a temperature drop, then that's fine. And then you can also replicate putting them in a dark room, that photo period. So, I mean, you don't have to always depend on getting to 55 degrees, because quite frankly, these snakes in Miami, or maybe they go to 70 degrees, but they're going to know that there's a change. They always tend to know there's a change. As long as you're going from an 85% hotspot or staying in a room that stays 80, and then all of a sudden you're 70 all the time and not eating, they're going to get that change. And then also I want you to know that before you brumate, give it 2 to 3 weeks for your snakes to clear out, because while they still have food in them, when you get them down a little bit cooler, everything in their body is going to slow down. So yeah, if they have a prey item in digesting at the moment, it can just basically rot in them and basically
kill them.
Yeah, pretty much poison them from the inside. So you want to make sure you give it 2 to 3 weeks.
Good shit.
If it's a hog nose, like 2 days now, but
they need a good shit.
Everyone give it 2 or 3 weeks, and then during that period, you can still, maybe drop your temperatures a little bit slowly. Some people like to drop it slowly. I don't really care. I'll
like
just go
a degree a day, 2 degrees a day.
Some people get degrees too carried away with it. It's not really that important. These animals know what they're doing.
So you just drop it immediately. I'd be scared to do that. Go straight from 80 to
I've also
60.
When I did it colder, I did so I usually do about 85 hotspot, and then the ambient in the room's usually 70 to 74, depending on what room I'm in, what part of the house it's in, whatever. So usually I'll just drop it down. I'll wait the 2 weeks so that they're clear. I'll drop it down to room temperature for 1 week, and then I'll put them into brumation at 55.
So you just take the hot spot off.
Right, and keep them at room temperature for a week. A little transition. But honestly, it's probably not necessary. People do it both ways, and it works both ways. So
that'd be so scary. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to just change it so quickly.
I know. And someone had called me the other day, a couple weeks ago at any RBC, and they said, hey, I talked to this guy at a reptile show or some shit, and he was like, he told me if I dropped my snakes into brumation at 55 degrees, it would kill them. That's what everyone has been doing for 40 years. So you can tell he can go fuck himself.
So I wonder what degrees that guy does his brumation
tell you that they will not die
at 55 degrees.
That guy probably keeps ball pythons or some shit and doesn't give a shit about the natural biology of anything else other than ball pythons, or he probably doesn't know where ball pythons are from. He just keeps ball pythons in a bin, and
I don't know.
Someone
said, have you heard about this thing called the fridge trick?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I guess you're putting your snake in a fridge, but
that sounds like killing them.
Nah.
The freezer kills them, but it sounds like, is that just to get them cold real quick? Like what? But our fridge is what? 40? What's the temperature of a fridge? 30?
Usually high 30s.
High 30s. So that sounds too cold.
Yes, it's too cold. But I mean, just wait until they see.
Okay, person explain.
But
also someone said, how old are king snakes when they start to brumate?
So I personally don't brumate my animals I don't brumate my juvenile animals.
Will they naturally go into something does something?
Not necessarily. Some of them will feel it, some of them won't. Most of them will keep on eating through. So there's 2 ways to do it. So there's a couple of thoughts here. So one thought would be that if you cycle your animals every single year from being a baby, they're going to get used to that, so they're going to be better breeders.
To just do it always.
Yeah, but there's no control and not controlled study that would show you
that it actually has an effect.
That it has any effect. I think you can. You get the advantage of feeding your young snakes and getting them well started
earlier
through the winter, so you don't have to put them down and stop feeding them. So for me, I mean, they're never going to gain weight in brumation. So especially if I have that one hatchling that didn't want to eat until like right now and just got her eating, I don't want to put her down in brumation in 2 months. I want to get a lot more meals into her. And I mean, some people put babies right into brumation. It works, but I mean, yeah, as long as you get the temperature down and
as long as they're eating enough before
and their body's not expending any energy, then they're pretty much good to go. But for me, that's just I just choose to do it this way. Well, part of why the people probably do it that way is because you can just, if you have only colubrids, just brumate your whole room, which makes it a lot easier. There's a lot of
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at your voice.
You know, you could brumate your whole room and make your life a lot easier, which I totally understand.
Yeah. If you have a separate temperature control in the room,
right,
and you're okay with hanging out in 55 degrees.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you have just a snake room, then I mean that's totally fine and that totally works. But that's
the dream.
In a way, yeah. I mean, if you could, the thing is, I don't know. It's so much easier living in the north. I mean, I'm just getting used to trying to work with the winters here, but it's so much easier in the north where
you have more seasons.
Do is like let the room do whatever it does in the winter. Like just let the outside affect the inside, and your life is good.
You don't have to make it cold.
You don't have to make it cold. Here, sometimes you may have to make it cold, and no one wants that. So it's. Here sometimes in the spring and winter, or the spring and summer there, you have to heat it up, so you expend energy that way. Sometimes here you have to cool it down in the winter, so you expend energy.
There's a trade-off no matter where you are. There's always a
trade-off wherever you are. 901 said, if you were a millionaire, would you still breed snakes? If I was a millionaire, I'd have $1 million worth of snakes.
Yeah, I think we were talking about that last night. Like I said, like if we ever get win the lottery or something, like I'm gonna get this, and he's like, well, I'm just gonna buy more snakes.
Yeah, so because, well, first of all, if I buy $1 million worth of snakes, maybe that turns into $3 million, and then I can sustain my life on just breeding snakes. But also, like, I have zero desire for anything else in life rather than
that is snakes. One of the truest statements you've ever said in your life. Like, some other people have like other passions, and snakes, like you are 100% snakes. You really don't want to do anything else. like nothing else.
I almost don't care about anything else. like everything.
like no other job interests him. So yeah, if you won $1 million, he'd still.
And then all I do when I have jobs now is I just listen and watch shit about snakes while I do that job and get paid for it. So that's just I have other hobbies, you could say. Which really, are though. I just don't care that much.
Working out and reading snake books. Are those your hobbies?
Playing guitar, I don't even put any
effort into it. Yeah. Oh, in the army. You are in the army, but only till May.
Yeah. And I mean, that's just such a small portion of my life. It's like kind of a weird thing where I have to turn a switch to be like who I am in the military from like being my normal regular self.
That's bad. Why do you have to change who you are to be in the military?
Because there's social confines that you have to work in between. Plus, you gotta
he's not normal enough.
And I don't like to bullshit a lot, so that's part of why. I mean, the thing is, you have to look good, which I mean, I always do in front of like my Joes or my privates and specialists. Joes. That's the people who are under like an NCO. You would call a Joe a private specialist, lower.
Is that weird because that's your name?
No, I just think of it in two different contexts because they're totally not one and the same in my brain.
But you, Joes, that's Joes. You. That's weird.
Oh, okay. But you get the damn point. So it's like they are. you know, like I do what's right in front of them, and that might not be 100% always being my normal self. Like my normal self, I don't
says double dicking and banana cunts, and you can't.
Well,
do that.
you say a lot of that stuff in the army too, just not around
sorry.
a lot of the other people. You're really the most disgusting human being if you're in the army. Like while you're training and shit, you're just savage. No one cares about that. But as far as like, I'm very, very relaxed and laid back in person, but there I have responsibilities that I have to get to.
Gotta be
and also with snakes, I guess I don't know if I'm laid back. I'm not.
You are not laid back about your snakes.
I'm not like extremely detail oriented, but in something, I just have my things.
You have your things. Like yesterday, even I was trying to help you feed the snakes, and it's like, ugh, you should just do it on your own, because I don't even remember what it was, but it was something that was so particular that like you couldn't even convey it to me.
It's hard to say. That pinky is a little bit small, so give it to that one, or that pinky is a little bit big, so give it to that one. I could say like about the width of its body, but even then you're like, I'm not sure if that's the width of its body. It's like, fuck, I'll just do
right.
it.
Like you are like, you can't just give me a general thing. Like give this to this animal, or to these sets of animals. Like you're like, oh, but this pinky's a little bit bigger, so maybe give it to this one. I'm like, fuck, like I need a baseline thing. Like you're just so back and forth because you've worked with them so much, you know, like
certain times I want to do certain things, certain times I want to do other things.
Right. So how does someone help you?
But everyone keeps bringing up double dicking.
Yeah, they said they want a double dicking shirt because we talked about that last week.
I know people probably get mad at me.
Critter Creature said the worst things I've heard said were all at Paris Island boot camp. I don't know what that is.
That's where the Marines go to boot camp. I mean, and that's all dudes. When you get all dudes, it gets real gay, like really quick. It's different because MPs, we always had girls, but when you're in basic training, you're still with all dudes most of the time.
So is it a lot of locker room talk?
It's a lot of like, well, you all have to shower together, like shit next to each other with.
Oh, right.
Doors.
You told me that there's no doors on the bathrooms. So it's in like, the military.
Eventually you're going to be like, let's see how far I can pee away from the toilet.
Oh my God.
On top of the stall. And
boys are the worst.
And then you're going to be like doing jumping jacks in the shower stuff, the normal stuff.
Just what? See your dick flop? Like what? Why are you doing jumping jacks in the shower?
That gets amusing at some point, but
that's pretty sad.
That's just the weird stuff that happens. And I mean, you get a glimpse of it when you go, even just for a little bit, and you like turn into that person again. Cause like you're so fucking bored, really. I mean, yeah, that happens when you're in any type of group, whether it be like it happens with like football teams or any type of team.
So anytime testosterone is together.
Whenever you get a lot of dudes together, shit tends to get weird
and gross.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to snakes. Thomas Jones said he thinks he likes going by weight as far as brumation and things. I think that's what he's talking about.
I wasn't sure if he meant feeding or brumation.
Oh, I don't know.
Because for me, weight doesn't matter. I mean, maybe if it's a ball python, maybe you're looking for that 1,500 on a female. You're looking for that 1,500 grams is a perfect amount for a female. But
we're in the U.S. We don't use grams. I'm just joking.
Right, but we're a hobby of drug dealers, so we have to operate in grams. No.
Why can't we say? Oh, because they're so little, we can't even say pounds.
Yeah, it doesn't really.
They don't do pounds
because it's not
until
specific.
You're in retics and berms,
and then it just still doesn't fucking matter because no one's getting that snake on a scale.
True.
Trying to get a retake on a scale.
I feel like when they talk to Ryan about weight, he says, or I guess it's really just a guess of how much.
You get on the scale, you weigh yourself, and then you put
hold the snake on your shoulders and see you on
the scale. I don't know, but
okay, so 1,500 grams.
I mean, most keepers, once you've been breeding a few years, you can tell when a snake's ready to go and when it's not. So, for the most part, you're gonna say, "Hey, this is a good weight," or this snake. You're like, "This snake's 5 years old, but it's small." But I mean, just some snakes are genetically going to be smaller than others, just like humans. Sometimes, especially in colubrids, I really like to get the years on. It doesn't matter.
The weight,
really.
Well, he was talking about feeding, and you talk like it more
because if you try to get to a weight with corn snakes, you just make it fat. Especially with like carpet pythons. Also, ball pythons are going to be different because they're just fat and they seem to do okay with being fat. Everything else, just don't make fat. I mean, still don't make your ball python fat, but most people still do because it benefits you financially to make them fat and reproduce quicker. So, I mean, it's just all up to you. It's your animal. But I mean, at the end of the day, you got to know your animal and read it. And then once you breed it once, you should know pretty much what the deal is.
But wait, he said it was about feeding. He does the weight on feeding.
So weight on feeding. Some people are really particular about, like, they want to see.
I was moving it out of the shot.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to see, or some people want to see how they want to weigh out each prey item and then see how much weight the snake gains and stuff. I just think that's too much.
Okay.
At some point, you just got to get on with your life and start.
You just kind of got to know.
Not really, but like, just know by look. It's hard to say. I just don't care about weight at all. That's just my only thing. I don't care.
Okay. Well, then that's funny because someone said
it's just like.
Someone said, "What's the proper weight for a corn snake?" And that depends on age, right?
You just want to look at like muscle tone and stuff like that. You don't want any scale separation. That's the number one decider.
I've seen stuff about that, like about people justifying the scales. There was something on Instagram. I don't remember.
In the scales, that snakes do fat. So corn snakes should never have white between the scales. Obviously, unless they're bending and in a weird position where the scales spread out, because they're obviously built to do that. But you don't want your snake to be resting and there be white between every single
lily
scale.
pad. Sorry.
Oh, lily pads on Instagram now. It's a new
lily
one.
pad. They were talking about you on YouTube, you and Valiant.
So so like, you just got to look at the snake. I mean, you can post it up and say, well, no, don't do that because people will jump down your fucking throat.
Don't.
That's the thing.
Don't
it's hard to get.
World.
You could send me a picture and I'll tell you if your snake's big or not, or too fat or too skinny.
So is this showing white for scales? Is that across the board? Like there should be no white seen on any snakes?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not a across the board thing.
Okay.
I mean, it's very specific, even throughout some colubrids. I mean, that's why I hate to say that there's a rule to anything, because at the end of the day, something's going to be the exception of that rule. And I don't want someone to be like, hey, you told me this and it wasn't true or whatever.
Valiant says, tell my internet girlfriend to get on YouTube. She said her computer is acting up. This is so weird. But Valiant also said if they've just eaten a large prey, they could have white between scales. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a situational circumstance as far as, their body is going to be stretched out. That's why it shouldn't be stretched out like that normally. I mean, but that's a sign that there's a prey item in there. And obviously
that's just a different circumstance.
Scales, yeah.
Right. I had a question earlier and I completely lost it.
But I mean, what you can do is, like I said, once you get breeding, it's not all, it's not one for one. So it's like, you're not doing feeding. I can't tell you feed one mouse a week for the rest of its life and everything's going to be fine. Because
why can't you say that?
The way it goes, though, because everything's situational. It's a living animal. It doesn't work on some type of schedule.
You can eat chicken every day for the rest of your life. The same amount of chicken every day.
You can tell a person to eat 3 meals a day, which is a made-up number, just like we're making up numbers. Because who decided to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner? No one. We made it up. Probably some marketing scheme to get people to eat at different foods at different times. But I mean,
okay, conspiracy theorist.
Well, no, it's just a figment of humans.
There has to be a reason. When you wake up in the morning, when it's the middle of the day, and before you go to bed. Duh.
Right. So someone was just like, I'm hungry. So this is breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We just decided to name something. But the fact is, you can have them eat 3 meals a day, but one person is eating one thing and one person is eating the other. One person's eating a salad. One person's a vegan, and they're skinnier and paler. And one person is eating just fried foods, and they're a biggin. And one person's eating lean protein and a lot of vegetables, and they're somewhere in the middle. So it's like, I hate to say that there's just a justified time. And then I've been seeing more and more difference between my animals that I feed rats. Rats are going to have higher fat content than mice. So, and then I just gave one of my corn snakes gave them a Reptilink. So I gave her a sausage with frog and rabbit, which is actually a little bit of a leaner cut than I would want to actually give her. I kind of want to give her a fat rat, but
you gave her that. They gave it to the anery female.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just want to see how that would affect her, see if maybe she digested that differently, because I wanted to put on weight. So I mean, that's a more condensed food item, because obviously you're grinding something, you're making it more dense, so you're gonna get more caloric intake, but there's not as much fat in those meats. Like frog is a really lean meat. It's almost like chicken, as far as if you've ever eaten frog.
Yes.
There's not much fat on it. And then you're talking about a rabbit, which is the same thing. It's a very lean wild meat.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
rats and mice have more fat than rabbit does.
Well, look at you've seen how athletic rabbits are, at least in the wild. When you're talking about,
I've seen some fat ass rabbits,
floppy eared rabbits.
Yeah, I've seen some.
But if you look at these ones in real life, that aren't hanging out in a little 12 by 12 cage with aspen in it, they're an athletic animal. They're fast, and
so are rats.
Yeah, but they're just pudgier in the middle region.
I don't know. I feel like rats and rabbits look the same to me, but okay.
It doesn't matter what they look like. It's that the studies have been done that they're more lean. The rabbits are more lean. This isn't like my opinion. If you go on like the Reptilink stuff, it will tell you about all the different breakdowns of the caloric, kind of general sense of what is more and less as far as fatty, and then it has a little bit of a caloric breakdown of everything. So,
whoa, Valiant Fane has a very strong opinion on rabbits.
I just spilled beer all over myself.
Hot.
But yeah, I mean, there's just
So, but she ate it, and you don't feel like she was still hungry?
I mean, I feel like she's just been hungry all the time. So,
also, is that a made up thing that we're determining, like a snake being hungry?
They definitely hunt and don't hunt. So,
but I feel like, I feel like sometimes some are just, poking at the front because they're into everything that's going on, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're hungry, but I feel like that's how we judge.
Snakes aren't very curious as far as they want to see what's going on in your room. They're not like, hey, what is he doing today?
The jungles are moving all the goddamn time.
Right, because it's breeding season, so they're looking for a female, so that's why they're on the move.
So then how can you tell between that and hunger?
When they're hungry, they often perch up on top of the on the hide. So they'll, instead of going in the hide, they'll go on top of the hide, and then they'll kind of hang their head down, just like looking down at the ground. Like if someone has scurried past them, they're going to eat it. They have a very distinct hunting position.
Okay.
Corn snakes, on the other hand, they're going to move around a lot when they're hungry. And like I said, none of them are really curious because they don't want to see humans, really. None of them really like humans. So that's pretty much.
Okay, so just simply moving around.
Yeah, and we ate before this, so Melissa.
So Melissa's going to take a little bit longer. For your 2,000 subscriber special, you should pick a random subscriber and feed them to a Burmese.
We're gonna feed Lily Pad.
Let's get to 2,000 first. We're so close. We want to get to 2,000.
Going to the olive python.
But wait, there's more. There's stuff I skipped. First, I would like to acknowledge that Valiant had a great explanation for breakfast. You're breaking a fast, like when you were sleeping.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
that's good.
So it makes sense.
we just put those words together though.
Also,
but I never thought of it like that.
Also, Lily Pad said, "Fuck you."
She called me Shrek too.
Someone else called you
Which
Shrek.
Is exactly why she's going to the olive python.
But Thomas Jones said, when my bull snake gets bigger, I'm going to feed a varied diet: rat, duck, necks, chicken necks. Well, good luck getting all that shit.
Yeah, I mean, they'll pretty much eat anything. I mean,
where are you going to get all that chicken necks, duck? You going to go buy duck at the grocery store for $1 bajillion?
You can go to the Oriental food market and you can buy pretty much everything.
Wait, did you know that Valiant fanciful name's Paris.
Really? Paris?
Well, that's what Lilypad's calling him.
I don't know.
And
maybe.
his name on Instagram is like p.xiv.
I don't know.
Oh, is
he
your name?
French?
He was in the UK.
Oh.
Sorry.
What?
That's
Okay,
weird.
breaking train of thought of everything.
Yeah. Okay, wait. Go back. Repeat the Oriental statement.
Okay, so there's Oriental markets that they sell a lot of frog legs, duck, and a whole bunch of different stuff.
For cheap?
I mean, I'm not saying at a price, obviously. I mean, frog legs aren't super expensive, but I mean, you can get them there and it's not overly, it's not going to be cheaper than your commercial rat or anything like that. You know, it's not $1. It's not going to be $1.25, but I'm not sure the exact prices, but you can do it if you want to. I mean, just like Austin was saying, he feeds his olive python chicken drumsticks. So,
Okay.
and then so does Tony from Selective Scales. So,
is there scientific evidence that a varied diet does anything?
Well, it's also depending on what species you're working with. So, as far as a ball python's pretty much probably only gonna eat like African soft furs and that kind of stuff. They're only gonna eat the rodents.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking at a
bull
corn
snake,
snake, if
Sorry.
you're looking at a corn snake, they're going to be eating, especially if they're down in Florida, mostly in knolls, because that's what is mostly around there. You look at a lot of the green trees, they're going to be eating mostly lizards as well, just because that's what's going to be abundant. But they're also going to be opportunistic on a lot of different birds and stuff like that, maybe even insects. So, I mean, it's obviously a varied diet for some and not for others. It depends on your different climates and your different
where they came from,
microclimates, and basically just the natural history, which some snakes we just don't know enough about. So a lot of it is just natural history of what they're eating in the wild. It can be hard to know what that is feed in the wild is, because there's only so much research. You can make inferences based on the genus or snakes around their area, but I mean, even if you have snakes that are in the same exact place, so if you have a jungle carpet and then a green tree python in
Australia,
northern Australia, that green tree is going to be in a tree all the time, and that
it's just different prey options
all over the place. It may like rodents more, which translates into what we see in captivity, like a ball python is going to be more likely, they're going to take an ASF so quickly, even in comparison to a regular rat or just a regular mouse. So
just because history
that's what
proves
they're used to. I mean, that's just what they've eaten forever. We're trying to change their natural instinct to eat. So we are, if we go with them, it makes our life easier and they'll eat it. But a lot of times we're trying to get them onto rodents because that's what we can get the cheapest and most readily.
Which, I mean, we're the ones paying for the food, so you can't judge us for trying to get sort of cheap.
Right, but if you want to try, I mean, it's cool to mix it up a little bit.
More props to you, Thomas. Like, the fact that you want to do that is awesome.
I mean, I try to do that to a certain extent, but it only happens so much.
Where are bull snakes found from?
All over the place. So you're going to have bull snakes in the Midwest. You're going to even have them through the West. And then you go way west and you're going to have some gophers in Southern California, that stuff. So
they could have a different types of diet depending on where they are.
Is going to be a genus that's all over the United States. But I mean, yeah, so it depends on if you have Southern bull, or there's Southern pines, and a lot of the northern bulls and the Midwestern bulls, they're all northern bull snakes from what I understand, but all from different places. And then I get confused sometimes about what's a pine and what's a bull, but
because they look very similar.
There are northern pines in New Jersey and that kind of stuff. I don't know. I wouldn't know right offhand of where the bull is from, but I think it's right down the middle of the country. But yeah, but pines and bulls and all that stuff are all similar. But I mean, you're going to see a lot of the ones in the South. They're going to be in the pine forests or in the pine barrens or those.
I don't even know where you're
pines in
going.
the southeast or the pine barrens if you're in New Jersey, and you're going to be feeding on a lot of rodents in there and rodent holes and stuff like that.
Ooh, I just remembered my question from earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's actually an answer to this, but what makes like some snakes fall breeding snakes and what makes some snakes spring breeding snakes?
You can look mostly at where they're from. So a lot of your winter breeders are going to be from more moderate climates or temperate climates, as far as a lot of your snakes that don't see a lot of variance in their ecosystem. So like a ball python, they're going to breed during the winter. Other snakes like colubrids aren't going to breed during the winter because they can't find food during the winter. So they're not going to be able to gain energy in order to expend energy to find a mate and or make eggs. So they're going to stay dormant in the winter and brumate because it's, probably below 70 degrees everywhere they are in the winter. So
in the wild.
Yeah. So they're just going to naturally brumate. If they're out, they're dead. So, but it's different if you're in Queensland and you're a jungle carpet. You're still going to be in a temperate climate in the winters. You're still going to be able to find food. You can expend the energy to hunt for a mate. And then when the babies are born and they're hatched out, it's going to be in the most plentiful, season of all. So it's going to be, in your spring and your summer, and it's going to be plentiful and your babies are going to be able to eat and you have a better success rate. If a corn snake laid a clutch in November and it hatches out, which it wouldn't because it would be too cold anyway, but and it hatches out in March, there's some places, I didn't do the math on that, by the way, but there's some places where you would still be way too cold to find
there's nothing to find to eat, right?
So, I mean, but then they do double clutch, so maybe you're getting some pretty late babies. But
and do you think, I mean, obviously evolution and all that takes eons, but do you think captivity has had even the smallest minute effect on that breeding?
It's had a lot of an effect for the amount of time
you're talking about, all the things, your breeding seasons and all that. That is obviously connected to the wild, like as far as going to hunt for a mate, all that.
If
ours
you
don't
get a
need
wild
to do
caught
that.
animal and it's used to having a winter on the other side of the equator, so you're getting an animal from South America or from Southern Australia, which you can't do, but you're going to have an animal that's the opposite.
Right. So what happened? What does it happen when you're bringing it to a climate that doesn't do what it's used to?
That's why it's so much easier to buy captive bred if you're looking at those type of animals, because you're going to either go with their schedule or try to change it, and you may have much more of a transition. You may have to wait a few more years for them to get used to that transition because you just turn their winter from summer and summer to winter. So, I mean, that can be a big transition for some animals. They may never breed. They may get sick, all different types of things. So that definitely makes them harder to breed. But if you go with ball pythons, you're getting people breeding them all times a year. They're just starting to cycle whenever the hell they want to because they're domesticated. I mean, you're going to at some point be able to breed them fucking whenever you want.
Right, because it's not like the ball pythons are having to go hunt. It's not like they're having to worry about plentifulness because they're in captivity now. And so it's like
they're starting to adjust accordingly, I think.
Right.
But I mean, you still have things that are so baked in as far as you're looking at all the colubrids that get down so deep in the winter. So I don't think you're ever going to get away.
Wait,
I mean, you
what?
cannot
Get down so? What do you mean?
So deep in temperature.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, I mean, you can breed colubrids without brumating them, but it's going to be a bit harder. It's just a lot easier to time if you go and brumate
like the natural time they would normally brumate.
Yeah, it's just easier to work with what you already have. But over time, I could see that stuff vanishes and you're going to be able to breed everyone easier.
We talked about like snakes, like they know when brumating, like that brumating time's coming. Do you think eventually like that'll go away because there's so many times of captivity that like, or
I mean, I hope it doesn't. And that makes it more confusing to me. So I'm going to keep on manipulating their environment so that I can control what's going on with them. I don't think it's ever going to be to where you have a corn snake start, ovulating in the middle of the summer, because everything I'm doing is telling them it's the middle of the summer and not winter.
Okay.
Or not spring, rather.
Right.
I'm
but
not going
do
to
you
start
think it
pounding
will
them.
always be like, or it will ever be like you are telling the snake everything, if that makes sense? Like right now they're still telling you,
though.
they're still telling. But I thought we've talked like the cruising, like the jungles. You haven't done anything to them yet, but they start cruising. Well, it gets to a point.
They just get a hint of the coolness of the overall room temperature because it's getting a little bit.
But we
cooler
haven't changed the temperature in the house.
Right. But we still have the AC. So at night, if it gets under 74 degrees, then it's under 74 degrees because we don't have the heat kicked on yet. So
okay. But I think it maintains the 74. It doesn't go below or whatever.
No. I mean, I don't want to get into how our central air works.
Do they really notice that 1 degree it might go under?
Yes. I don't know how. There's differences and they know it. And that always happened with ball pythons for me as well. So they know, man.
So we'll never be able to like tell them everything. If that makes like they will still do things.
I don't know. Like I said, we've only been doing this for 20 years. We're gonna change it to where you can, I'm sure, but I'm doing that. That's why I'm not understanding, because I'm doing that.
You are, but I'm just
because I'm brumating, and that's telling them that it's winter.
But they start cruising before you start brooding.
Oh, so you're talking about. But I'm letting that happen too. If I wanted to fucking seal off my room and make sure it was the same temperature all the time,
they wouldn't cruise then.
But there's more benefit. I don't know, but there's more benefit to me to just let it do it. Okay,
let me ask Lily Bad's question. Can snakes cough if water accidentally goes down their trachea?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I thought it goes around or...
It goes into the mouth, but I mean, what's keeping the glottis from getting water? I don't really know.
But they can sneeze, she said.
Yeah, they can definitely sneeze.
Really?
Yeah. I've heard that I don't know. This is gonna get real stupid. I don't want to make any inferences about the snakes, but what the hell was I wanted to talk about how we changed the way we scented the pinkies.
Yes, I was just thinking that, but I wouldn't know about this. They can sneeze?
Yeah, you can hear them blow like
snot.
You don't want that. If that happens, then they have an RI, and
oh fuck,
that's bad. They're like legit sick.
Snot means bad.
Yeah, just like it does in humans.
We always have snot.
Right, but we're like
when we sneeze, snot comes out. Doesn't mean we're sick.
We are to a certain degree. Oh my fucking god! I don't want to get into like it's so stupid. Like that's why I don't want to randomly go into.
Okay, Lily Bad. He doesn't like the question.
You think you just have mucus and everything like just for fun? Like you're not.
It's sick. The dirt in your body. That's what mucus is. You always have it.
But aren't you getting it out
when you sneeze?
Aren't you? You're to. Whatever degree you're sick, 1%.
Okay, let's stop this. God. She's getting overly frustrated.
It's just stupid. Why are we going to talk about us sneezing rather than snakes?
Okay, well, I was talking about snakes sneezing. You brought it up to human sneezing, mister.
Well, no, you did, because you said when humans sneeze, they're not always sick. That's exactly what you said.
Okay.
But,
okay, let's talk about picky eaters. And let me give the backstory, and then you can give the fixing. How does that sound? So we've had the sun glow stripe corn snake, who for how long have we had this snake now?
We've had her for like 5 months.
5 months. The whole 5 months, she has been a little bitch about eating, tried pinkies, tried tuna, tried all the different things. She would only take anoles. And unfortunately, sorry, that was really funny, Lily Bad. Sorry to anyone who downloads this later and you don't get all these great things from YouTube, but it's funny. Sorry. Okay. We've had the sun glow. She's been a bitch. She only wants to eat anoles, and anoles aren't cheap. $7 at Petco. And so we're always trying to find new ways to transition her to pinkies like all the other corn snakes. We've also had a baby corn snake. Our babies. Oh, wait, babe, click share and start over. Sorry. We have a baby corn snake who has not been eating much, but has she eaten at all?
Yeah, all she ate was an anole tail.
An old tail. So similar, like just only anoles. We got to find a way to transition to this. So, okay, go for it.
Okay, so what I tried in the past was taking the pinky and then just rubbing it on the anole. So I just tried that and it didn't work. And then
like the belly all over the. Did you try different parts?
Yeah. I mean, all over the outside of the anole. So I tried like I looked at a lot of different people and I heard a few really weird things that I was like, I don't think I'm going to do that. That sounds fucking ridiculous. But I ended up actually washing off the pinkies with Dawn dish soap. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yes.
Making sure
after defrosting it.
Yeah, and making sure 100% that there was obviously no more soap on it.
And where did you get this idea from?
I saw it on forums and I've heard it a couple times before, but I said that's definitely going to be the last thing I do.
It just sounds weird ridiculous. To wash a dead pinky.
Apparently what you're doing is getting the smell of all the urine and stuff off of them from when they were euthanized or when they were alive under the mom, whatever it is.
And that doesn't go away when it dies?
But a really strong rodent smell. Well, the thing is you're dampening the smell a little bit. And then what I did was instead of rubbing it on the outside of the anole, most of the frozen anole after we defrosted it in there. And yet, Lilypad mentioned that put the anole tail in the pinky, which I actually tried that too. And that didn't work for whatever reason, just that rodent smell, they wouldn't get over it. So wiped them off with the Downy and everything, and then put it
Downy?
Dawn, sorry, whatever the fuck it is. Then put it in the mouth of the
anole.
Yeah. Then for whatever reason, like that saliva that was still there, even though it was a frozen thawed anole, covered it in the pink. Like you could see the saliva in there.
When we were like, oh, this is gonna be so gross. But like we literally pried open the mouth of the frozen thawed anole, stuck the pinky in there, kind of twisted it around in there good, and you could see it was like not dripping saliva, but it was sticky. It was still sticky, so you could see it was definitely getting coated in that anole saliva.
Mm-hmm.
So is the scent of anoleness carried a lot in the mouth?
I must do something because nothing ever worked before, but once we went into the mouth, it worked. So I don't know, because I read that someone used to have live anoles bite a frozen thawed pinky and then feed it to their babies, and that would work. So I mean, we did it with the frozen. That's what worked. There must be some type of good smells in there.
Not like I'm trying to like dissect an anole or anything, but I wonder if we like did the belly of the anole and rubbed the pinky in there.
What I wanted to do really is, well, if I had it, it would be so weird. I would gut all the anoles and then put them in a blender basically, and maybe boil them down to make a concentrate of whatever the fuck, all the anole parts, and then make anole juice out of that and then use that.
As gross as that sounds, I think it would actually work. Then you can just dip the pinkies in that.
The pinkies in whatever and then freeze a little bit.
And I feel like that would be more reusable. Like our anole, after we did that, we were wondering like, can we reuse this? Because we've already defrosted it. But if you were to grind and make it into pulp,
use more small bits at a time. Yeah, really, like Lilypad said, like skin the anole or something. But the fact is that we need something that's more of a resource that we can go to time and time again. We don't want something that, we don't want to keep on buying anoles. That's the whole point why we want them off of it. So we want to find some type of way to concentrate the anole so that, maybe we use a fourth less.
Just dip it in it.
We just need a little taste.
Right.
So
because we still want them to be eating mostly pinky.
Yeah. And then also, for some people it works if you take the shed, but the fact is that most lizards eat their shed and the anoles eat their shed. So it's hard to get the shed of the animal. So yeah. Or like Mark, when we had him on the podcast, morning geckos don't eat their shed, but also morning geckos take a certain amount of money to maintain.
Sorry, Gecko, you save 15% on car insurance.
You messed up the joke because anyone who's listening doesn't know what's going on. But
okay. Well, someone said anole aerosol spray. Does that exist?
I've heard of that. It's for use on fishing lures, but quite frankly,
come back in the Instagram shop.
I don't trust any of my stuff to fish it. Fishing, the fish aren't digesting it directly. Plus, people don't really care about what happens to the fish after, right?
Because they're cooking it and eating it,
or they're throwing it back and whatever, So I don't want to feed my mouse that, but they do have an old juice from Reptile, but quite frankly, that is it's like $35, and then you also need to pay like $30 shipping.
No, $40 shipping. That's the ridiculous
part.
And
then it's for a 1 ounce bottle, which if you're watching, it's like that big.
So you pay $70, which for some people, if you have the money, go for it. But we can't see.
Well, you can pack it in with rodents and stuff. So you can buy that. And I think the shipping goes down to $29 or $20.
Okay.
So I was talking to Nick or Tyler. I don't remember. But still for me, I have a rodent source that's cheaper than that. I hate to just have price be the factor, but at some point price has to be the
1
factor,
ounce.
So.
We'll go through that so quickly.
Yeah. So I'm saying I would just pair it up with rodents, but the fact is I get really cheap rodents where I'm at. So it's just kind of not worth it.
So maybe, okay. As gross as it is, I'm willing to. Sorry, as gross as it. As it is,
yeah.
I'm kind of willing to try
the boiling.
Blend. Wait, I missed the boiling. I thought you were.
Well, that's how you're going to concentrate it, right? Because you're going to get all the moisture out of there. Or you can just blend it up. Either way,
tuna's not concentrated, is it? It's just tuna.
Right, but it's in there with water, and eventually it all seeps in. It's not concentrated, but tuna's 99 cents a tin, so it doesn't fucking matter.
But I'm saying it does, the ones we have to tuna scent for, it's not that concentrated, and they'll still eat it.
I'm not saying it has to be concentrated. I'm just saying it may make it easier for me to thaw it a little bit. I guess it doesn't really matter, but do I want to have a water bottle full of anole parts in the
freezer? What do you mean? We have a freezer of pinkies and rats. What's the difference?
But it really doesn't matter. But that was just a thought to get more use out of, because it would be more of a concentrated scent. So
yeah,
it would probably work better with less.
I'd feel more comfortable freezing, thawing, refreezing just inside.
Well, it would be something that I would be able to just take a scrape off and just what do I call, defrost that a little bit. So it's just something to experiment with. But half of that idea I got from reading Bill Love's book. He used to grind up, I can't remember now. He used to grind up rodents or something to bait traps for snakes. So he would grind up certain things in the blender to make traps.
Why not just use whole rodents? Too expensive, or?
I think it was just more of a concentrated nasty smell, I guess, for the snakes. I forget exactly what it was, but.
Where did he live?
South Florida.
Oh, okay. Sense. Gotcha. I was I feel like if we just put out freaking ground up rats outside our house or our apartment, it's not gonna
catch a rodent.
Yeah, catch the fucking armadillos that
I forget
travel
what
around
exactly
here.
You put in it, but
But yeah, when you're in Florida, you get to catch everything.
Yeah, but I mean, you would still have random rodents and stuff stealing your shit.
Yeah.
It would still only be, but if you're attracting rodents, you're attracting snakes at the same time. So
Was Bill Love really into wild caught or just trying to get something new?
it was the 1970s. Everything was
Everything was
wild caught. There was no.
Gotcha.
People don't realize that this culture of captive breeding just started maybe in the 90s. You know, that's when people really started being successful with captive breeding.
But I mean,
and then you saw the mutations once that got popular. Then,
but in these 27 years since the 90s, a shit ton of shit has happened.
all the shit has happened. It's pretty much the whole hobby as we know it has happened since then. So think about how crazy it will be, you know, from there.
We Are Reptiles UK asked again, what's your favorite Morph ball python? But we answered that earlier.
Pied.
We said pied, and I said bananas, and someone else said dreamsicles.
Ones that look like corn snakes.
Basically, because we like corn snakes. You think there'll ever be a palmetto ball? Palmetto. I can't talk.
It certainly exists, because what you're trying to say is there's going to be a palmetto ball python, which means it's basically leucistic with dots of color throughout it. Well, it occurs in retics, which is obviously a python. A lot of things that occur in python species occur in other python. You know, like one thing that occurs in one python will usually come out in some direction in another python. So
I
if you're
disagree
looking
with carpets, though.
But if you're looking at a jaguar carpet and you're looking at a spider ball python, they're the same thing. There's going to be a little bit less melanin, and then there's only going to be neurological issues, and then the super is dead. A dead white snake.
And I think that's one case in the ball. There's so many different ball pythons
what I'm
that doesn't occur in jungles.
is that, yes, because obviously Australia is a closed door. Okay. If we were able to, we're shipping in like hundreds of thousands of ball pythons from Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So of course we're going to have more things to pick from. And then that species in general seems to be very, very, show a lot of variability. And
so you think if we had, I mean, total hypothetical, if we had the access to jungles like we do to ball pythons, we would have a lot more similar morphs?
No, I mean, in Australia, they don't have much, but then again, I don't think they have a lot of a culture of harvesting wild-caught animals. I mean, I don't know, because just some species seem to have a different amount of variability. But what I'm saying is that it's possible. So anything in one python, I think, is possible in another python. Doesn't mean it has occurred. Maybe it did, but it died right out of the egg. We'd have to get lucky enough to find it. And you're definitely a lot more lucky when you're collecting 50,000 of something than, you know, just a few.
Right.
So the fact is that, I mean, there's a cow retic, which is basically a palmetto, which a cow retic is basically leucistic, but spots of color, which on a retic turns out being like black spots of color, which is why it's a cow, I think. Gotcha. I don't know 100% the genetics behind it, but basically it looks like a palmetto in just different colors. I'm sure you can see that in ball pythons. I'm sure we may see it eventually, but hasn't happened yet. Maybe it won't ever happen. Who knows? But I'm saying it may be possible.
Question.
Yep.
This is totally not snake related. I'm just looking at our our recording. Why is it not going down when we stop speaking?
Don't worry about it. It's
okay.
Fine.
Sonas, what reptile do you recommend for someone who's had snakes and reptiles for a while? That's super vague, but
yeah, it's whatever you like. If you had pets and reptiles for a while, then you should have some type of preference of things. It's really just preference.
MMD buddy likes blue tongue skinks. Ugh, I can't do them.
They're all right. I mean, once you're getting into lizards, things with 4 legs just have so much more, work and upkeep put into snakes. Them. Snakes are just low metabolism, easy to clean, easy to house. Just different animals than lizards. So, I mean, that's why I keep snakes. They're a lot easier, and plus I like them.
But didn't you used to have?
I had a skink. I mean, it was all right, but nothing amazing. I didn't gain anything out of it more than, you know, a snake. I mean, for snakes, I just find them so much more easier to hold and to mess around with. And honestly, there's a lot less there's consequences with lizards just because their teeth are different. So they have more tearing teeth, most lizard species. So
Okay.
if you're looking at a lizard of decent size, it's definitely different. A snake is going to bite you and hook onto you, and you're not going to get much of that tearing damage. But
I'm sorry. I'm just laughing at you too.
yeah.
They're just funny. Do you like milk snakes? I like milk snakes.
Yes, I like milk snakes.
I think we kind of like milk snakes, rat snakes, corn snakes.
Colubrids, that's what they're called.
Oh, excuse me. Colubrids.
Well, I was just trying
My
to group
thing
them up for you.
I'm into right now, other than white-lipped pythons, because I still want one.
Yeah, until you hold them.
Until I hold them, is I really like mandarin rat snakes.
Yeah, I really like them too.
They are just awesome. Now, there's other name things that get applied. I don't know all of it.
No, just mandarins. I know
No,
what you're talking about.
What? I feel like there's some. I've seen something else on it.
No.
Okay.
Mandarins don't have much variability. There are some like high reds, at the end of the day, the high yellows, they all kind of look the same.
Okay.
They're all mandarins. They're not, maybe some polygenic stuff. There may be like a hypo or an albino out there somewhere. I don't exactly remember, but I mean, at the end of the day, there's just some animals where you don't get better with mutations, like a mandarin.
Because they're just awesome. Now, obviously, there's varying degrees of like the yellow and black. I don't want to call them spots. What do I even call them?
Well, that saddle pattern.
Saddle
like
pattern. That's what that's called.
Yeah.
There's varying degrees of the yellow and black, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Just something about the mandarin rat snake is just awesome. I really want one.
Yeah, I mean, yellow in anything. I mean, I really like mandarin rats too, but it's just hard as far as keeping. So you can't keep them too hot.
Wait,
you need to keep
why are
them
they
nice
so
and
difficult?
Cold. A lot of the Asian colubrids, if you get them too hot, they do really bad.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, I don't know the exact upkeep of it. I just know that it's different from what I have now.
So would you not even like put like a hot spot? Like,
I'm not sure exactly. I don't want to say because I really don't know.
Okay.
It may just be a lower hotspot. Honestly, I don't know. But if I did, I just know that I would have to kind of keep my room a little bit different. But I would love getting like blue beauties and Chinese beauties and king rats and
I don't even know all those
because all the North American colubrids kind of have their own Asian counterpart. So
oh really?
So things like not directly, but I mean, there's pretty much a Japanese corn snake,
which is what
I think they call it. What do they call it? It's called like a Japanese fucking.
It's called a Japanese corn snake.
Well, that's what we call it, but maybe it's a lined rat snake, or no, it's not the bamboo rats, but I mean everything has a pretty or like Mark just said, or bamboo rats, which also I love, which are those orange ones with the black stripes down the.
Oh yes,
you've seen them a lot.
Yes, I like those. Yeah.
And then
I like the really dark black, a thick black line,
like orange with the black down them.
Yeah,
and then
I like those.
What else? There's all types of Asian colubrids that are really, really cool.
Okay.
Different variant as far as what they'll take food wise, and then keeping. I mean, I really like rhino rat snakes.
Don't know it.
Which are really cool, but you want something that's going to be more arboreal for them.
Okay.
You have things like paradise flying snakes, which are fucking crazy. Some weird Asian colubrids.
You don't see those here.
Boyega, the cat-eyed snakes, looking at your Dendrophilus.
Why aren't those here in America?
A lot of these are. It's just people haven't been that successful with them. So, I mean, there's plenty of the the dendros, which are those black and yellow. I can't think of the common name right now.
Okay.
But there's a whole bunch of those. The Boyega in general, but for the most part, they're all wild caught. Because
blue barons?
Barons racers are pretty cool. Yeah.
Are those Asian?
They're kind of like rhino rats, but a little bit different.
Are those Asian? No.
Can't think off the top. I feel stupid. I don't know.
Okay.
But I think I want to. I don't know, man. I feel stupid.
Do you feed? Okay, well, this is also super vague. Do you feed a snake once a week or twice a week? Like, you got to talk about what snake, dude. I know if you're breeding, you have to feed less during certain times, but what if you're not going to breed them?
It doesn't mean anything. Yeah, I don't know, but
If you're not breeding, keep it the same, right? Just keep the same breeding. Like, don't change it, right? You don't change unless you're breeding and brumating and everything. Oh, Lord.
I don't know. What the fucking snake are you talking about?
I don't know. He needs to talk about what snake he's
just
talking about.
if it's a carpet python, then once every 3 weeks. If it's a corn snake, then once a week. I don't. It all fucking depends on how old they are and stuff. But some of the other, there's all types of different stuff as far as like Indonesia stuff and stuff in Borneo that we just don't really mess with a lot. It's
Do you
stuff
think
that's hard
people,
to keep and hard
I was
to
about
feed.
to say, is that why people haven't had so much success? Because it's just a different out of the other ones we have had
And
success
it's also
with?
people aren't willing to cater their whole collection to one animal, or we haven't figured out what keeps that corn snake alive, or that I just read that. What keeps that snake alive? So a corn snake, if it's an adult, you can feed it every 2 weeks and you'll be fine. If it's a corn snake and it's younger than that, every week will be fine. So, I mean, you don't really have to worry about it too much. But so with that, especially like a dragon rat snake or something, no one's been successful with that, but no one's put in all the hard work. And then a lot of them never get into rodents. So it's like,
oh, really?
Is it ever going to be marketable?
If you can't feed it rodents?
Just like those, I really like them, but I forget those snakes from like Central America or I don't know. They're like kind of tricolored, but they're really cool. But they only eat centipedes, so
Fuck
it's
that.
like that's cool, but no one's ever gonna want to feed it centipedes forever. Did I say dragon rat snake?
Yeah, you did.
Okay,
I don't know which came first though. Like I don't know if you said it or then Mark said it. I don't know what came first.
But I mean, you're also looking at, we only give the ones that survive are the ones that survive in tubs and shit like that. I mean, we're not giving them the full spectrum of the
and survive on what we want to feed them. You know.
Yeah, so
Mark says, me and Joe have the same brain. Yeah, I don't know which one came first, but like all those things you said. Someone said, what do you think about sand boas?
I don't know. They're cool. I don't know how to keep them. I think you keep them a little bit hotter and drier than I keep everything else, but I really like them. But
I don't like how they look. Their heads are weird to me. They look like they're
squirrely,
like worms.
Yeah,
they look like worms.
Yeah,
I don't like how worms
like, I guess,
right? Like there's no defined
really
head.
I like rosy boas. I think are pretty cool, and I think some of the like Indian sand. I think it's an Indian burrowing python's pretty cool, which is pretty close to like kind of looks like a sambo in a way, but has keeled scales and a little bit more brown.
I think there's so many cool other boas. I mean, obviously boas is a very vague or big thing, but
yeah,
I just think there's way cooler boas.
Boas, and if you're looking at like boa constrictors, I mean, those are so easy to keep in comparison to a lot of the people. But I mean, people don't know how to keep those. Though.
Really? I feel like boa constrictor is like one of the biggest.
They're one of the
things.
most kept, but easily one of the fattest fucking animals. They really don't have to eat as much as people.
Why do people think that then?
I don't know. I mean, that's just always what's been common knowledge in the hobby forever and ever. You know, from when I was a little kid, feed a snake once a week, didn't matter what it was. I mean, now we're realizing that, you know, snakes aren't one for one. Not everything's one for one. Not even all localities of different snakes are one for one. Not all snakes in the same genus. I mean, everything's a little bit different, which is why I hate. It's kind of hard answering questions for different species and stuff because I find myself not being generalized in how I keep. Like in no way do I know much about any other snakes, but exactly what
you keep because you've had that real life
plus,
experience.
Like I don't like making assumptions based on things that I've heard or because you hear a lot of things.
Right. And the only way you can weed out is based on your own experience.
Yeah.
Valiant said, I really want a boa, but he's been told he can or can't. I don't know if that's can or can't keep them in a 4-foot enclosure.
See, I don't know. That's the thing. Like, I don't get why you can keep a 17-foot retic in a 6-foot enclosure, but you can't keep a boa in a 4-foot enclosure. There's no one for one. There's just no there's no definite answer, and I'm not saying that how anyone keeps is the right way. So I don't even know what the right way is. Should you give a retic 20 by 20? You know, like what should a retic really have?
I think a retic should have a fucking huge ass thing. They're fucking, like,
and then it's like they don't move, but maybe we're not giving them enough room to move. I don't know, but it all depends for me. Like I can tell you what I keep a corn snake in. Other than that, man, it's up to you because some people will tell you different things. They probably all work, but what do you feel comfortable doing?
Okay. Two questions.
That's a good one. I want to ask.
Yes, but I want to do the not as good one first. No. The ball python, does it hurt? Yes, it's not the worst. I can answer this. It's not the worst one in the world, but it hurts. Depending also where they bite you. Is it going to bite on a vessel that bleeds a lot? Like you'll be fine. You're not going to die by any means. You're not going to need surgery. Right. It's going to heal. But also, no bite is fun. Cool. Baron's question. What is the difference between a Sumatra short tail and a blood
python?
So
blood pythons, a lot of misnomer with this one. So you're going to have your Borneo short tail pythons. You're going to have your Sumatran short tail pythons, and you're going to have your red blood pythons, or I think they're also considered a short tail.
Are these
python,
countries? What are these names?
Well, Sumatra and Borneo are countries, yes. But the Sumatrans have always been imported, Southeast Asia, but they've always been imported as black bloods.
I don't even know what that is.
I'm
black blood.
And then you have red bloods. What's that thing? Yellow bone?
Yellow bone, red bone. Sorry.
And then the Borneos, I don't know what the hell they call those, but I mean, all I know is that you can call a red blood a blood, but the other ones you call Sumatran and the other ones you call Borneos.
What's the difference?
Well, one's Curtis, one's Borneensis, I think, and then someone knows a lot more than me about
I don't
this.
know what it is.
Silly for me to even.
You said you wanted to answer it.
No, I know, but I can tell you the general. I don't remember the Latin names for all of them, but the Borneos, I think, is Borneoensis, and the one's Curtis, and one's Curtis something else.
Gotcha.
I just don't remember.
So what does black blood mean?
It's a Sumatran, but it's a misnomer. It's wrong.
Okay, you shouldn't have called them all black bloods. Yeah, you should only call the Sumatrans.
That's just us being picky. Fucking, it doesn't really matter. But just don't mix them, and it doesn't really matter.
So Sumatras should only go to other Sumatras, and Borneo should only go to other Borneos.
Just like everything else. Yeah.
Just like everything else. He doesn't like hybrids.
I think they're all. I don't know. Are they all Python Curtis?
Curtis sounds so un-Latin.
Well, it's someone's last name.
Like Borneas.
Put an I on the end.
Yeah, you're supposed to when you make it Latin. Curtis-I.
I'm sure there's a Curtis. It may even be Curtis-I. Who knows? But they're just different species or subspecies. I don't fucking know.
Are we getting? No, we're not getting any of those. Are we getting? Or no, we are getting a short tail, right?
I don't know if we are. I don't, because they just are kept so much different than what I have. If I run the colubrids like 80 degrees, I may be able to do it. But then I heard Luis said that once they get to a certain size, you need to give them a hot spot if you want to be able to breed them.
The short tails?
I think it just may be too much of a venture for me when I can just spend money buy more colubrids.
But we already spent the money on it.
Yeah, but really that's just a donation to USR.
Does he only keep short tails?
And there's no short tails that are under $200. So
does he only keep short tails?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's some differentiation, but he has some Sumatrans, I think, but I don't know if he's bred them this year. I mean, it doesn't matter. The thing is, I would rather spend my money at this point on a Baird's rat or on an Everglades rat,
snake,
or a Cali
lavender king, or a Cali king.
Yeah. So
Cali king.
So I'll probably. I just need to be. It would just be stupid for me to change courses at this point. I mean, like, to throw a wrench and everything. I'll just leave it.
What we need to really focus on right now is stop getting all males. Like,
Yeah, and I mean, it's
we
so
have a
disheartening.
huge sausage fest going on. Like, it just seems like when we get really excited to breed something, we figure out we have 2 males, and it just kind of sucks.
It's hard for me to say like I'm gonna keep all my jungle carpets when they're all males, because it comes to that crossroads where I've had each of them for so long that I don't want to get rid of any of them.
Mm-hmm.
It just pains me to get rid of any of them, but at the same time, they're not doing anything for me. They could be so much better for someone
Someone
else.
who has a female to breed it to.
Yeah.
Now, someone wants just give us two females, we'll take it. But, yeah.
Lilypad asked, "What makes rainbow boas shine?" The Zeridophores on there.
Whoa, what's a Zeridophore?
I don't know. It's something that they fucking bounce off the scales and make it a rainbow.
Wait, is a Zeridophore like a? I don't get what
I think it's kind of like a protein, kind of like melanin or tyrosine or whatever the fuck that other stuff is. Another stuff that's way out of my pay grade. I can tell you what it is, but I can't explain it. But yeah, so iridescence is what happens. It's not what exists within the thing. But
right, that's the results, not the actual what's causing it.
Right.
Gotcha. So, I'm excited for this geneticist. I'm also a little scared because I feel like he's gonna think I'm super dumb.
Yeah, I would keep the questions to my side.
Okay, I'll go back to being
before you're like, what does albino mean? And then it's like, no one's
I know
really
what albino means.
You're gathering information,
Shut up.
But I want everyone else to have a good experience.
I'll go back to my secretary role next week.
I mean, I'm trying to keep up. I may not drink.
Yeah, we can't drink next week. We gotta be like 100% like on point with this guy, because like he knows his shit, and biology was just never good for me. So
you're not a molecular geneticist.
I don't do things that I can't see. Pretty much.
Right, but biology is everything you can see.
No. As far as like the insides, like I can see your hair is brown. I can see your eyes are blue. But as far as even basic level biology, like the mitochondria and the whatever, like I can't see that, so my brain can't compute it. So that's especially good. Geneticism. Is that a word? Geneticism?
Sure. So like that's definitely good. You're definitely curious.
My brain only likes things it can see.
Yeah. I mean, you just gotta breed ball pythons.
But even that, still genes.
I'm just kidding. Okay. That's like all genes.
I just don't do genes. Pranker says you should do a snake collection video. We actually did. Yeah. It's called Reptile Room Tour. You did it back in September? But actually in November.
That's pretty funny. MMD Buddy said, yes, you can, meaning yes, you can see it in a microscope. Meaning that stuff you can see.
Yeah, eventually but you can see then it just looks like squiggly colors and shit. Like, I mean, you're right. I can see it. But I just, inside the body, I'm like, photosynthesis. Yeah, we definitely have photosynthesis. We definitely. I was jumping to something. I mean, I don't eat. See. I just go out in the sun. Shut up. Shut up. Shit. This is why you can't talk next week. I was jumping to other things I can't see. I wasn't saying we have photosynthesis in our body. I'm not that dumb. Also, Lilypad said ignorance isn't dumb. But no, I just can't. I can't make my brain understand it. Yeah, I mean, some people have certain strengths. I mean, my strength isn't fucking molecular genetics, but we're going to try. Yeah, I'm going to try my best to, part of it is being stupid enough to be able to ask questions instead of I don't want to ask what is an albino? Yeah, and then I kind of know I don't want to ask anything that I know the answer of. So if I know the answer of it, that means someone who is listening on the download is going to
be about the same level I am, but I want to dispel some of the like hobby science of it.
Okay.
Meaning, like, for example, we call everything co-dominant when really it's incomplete dominant.
See, I don't
It's
even
just a
get
little
that.
bit of jargon that we fucked up, as well as even if
we were talking earlier about albino versus amel people. As her voice cracks for the 15th time, people in the hobby use, it seems like they use amel and albino interchangeably, and you can't, because let me see if I got it. Albinoism is the lack of all pigment. Yes,
got it.
Amelanistic is the lack of melanin, which is black pigment. So all albinos are also amelanistic.
No, all of our that we call albinos are actually amelanistic.
There's no true albino in.
If you're looking at like a ball python, it still has yellow. So
there's no true.
It's technically amelanistic, which means it lacks melanin,
the black. Right. There's no true albino in snakes, is what you're saying?
See, I'm not sure where the line's drawn for leucism and albinism. I could tell you in snakes that your albinos are going to have red eyes, right? And then your Lucy's, a lot of them, there's some black-eyed Lucy's out there, but they're rarely ever completely white.
See, this is something I want to ask him, but you're going to tell me I can't ask him the difference between albinism and leucism.
Yeah.
This is something that we don't fully understand. I'd love to ask him, but you're going to tell me it's too dumb.
Yeah, because I could Google it. What I'm trying to do is like get stuff specific to the hobby. So I want to dispel the whole Palmetto thing and start from the ground and go
from the ground up.
Yeah, there you go. So I just
okay. Well, everyone listening, if you're gonna be listening next week, get your non-dumb genetics questions ready.
Take your medication.
Take your medication. Don't drink alcohol. They're all 14, so they can't. They can anyway.
But they sure are on a good dose of of Adderall, I'm sure.
We're gonna have to reduce the kinkiness of our normal things. We have a very serious man coming on or calling in. Also, you won't be able to give him a nickname because he's just calling.
That's true. I mean, you still could if you wanted to, I guess.
Lilypad, get your genetics questions. And it's going to be a serious one until I ask a dumb question, because it's going to happen. There's going to be one dumb question I ask.
Turn off your mic.
Oh, okay. He's going to turn off my mic. Gotcha. See, Faint can drink in 2 years. Not when you come to America to visit Lilypad. You can't. Oh, someone's 22. Someone's close to our age. Cool. Makes me feel better. Black-eyed Lucy is a black-eyed leucistic?
Yep. Lucy's just short for leucistic.
I feel like when Ryan was talking about a lot about his retics and stuff, he said Lucy a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see some parts of the hobby like some abbreviations, other parts. I don't know. We all have our own little circles to where things get normal. So, just like amel got normal in corn snakes and people stopped using albino, it hasn't really come across in other places. A lot of people call hypo ghost, when I guess technically it's a hypo, but hypo is kind of a made up thing for snakes. So hypo means less than, meaning less melanin. So it means there's a less black in it, which could mean
that's what hypo meant. Oh, I was so wrong
by technicality. But then again, we use it to use that ball python morph to where it seems like there's like a white film over the snake. It's like it's about to be in shed all the time. That's the only way I can explain it to you.
That's what hypo means? Ooh, I thought hypo meant
exactly.
I thought hypo meant really bright colors.
Hyper melanistic means more. I mean, it doesn't fucking. That's what I'm saying. Like all the terms are pretty much wrong and were made up. So I mean, that's things to talk about.
Pranker, the streams. These are at Mondays at 6 p.m. Central time. So wherever if you live in California, I was right. If you live in California, then it's 4 o'clock. I don't know why I hit you. Sorry. Got real excited. What was that?
I
Did
don't
you hear
know.
that? Was that Dixie? Look, now Dixie can get it all the way. Say
Oh
hi.
my god. Well, people who are on the download can't see the dog in the live
Oh
stream.
shit.
So
Sorry.
respect their
Respect
patience.
people downloading later who
There
can't
you
see
go.
Dixie. Okay.
Much for watching. What do you have
See
to
how
say?
easy it is to end it when there's not another person? He's so willing to when it's just us to end the podcast. Like I didn't even have to say let's end it. All I
But
said
knew
was
what you were
okay.
saying.
You knew what I meant by okay?
Yeah.
Oh. It's so easy. This is nice.
Yeah, plus we don't have any more beer. If we had like all we have is a 6-pack to split between the two of us.
So beer is the only thing that keeps the podcast going?
Well, it definitely lends to my or unattentiveness, willingness to talk.
Whoa, Valiant! The podcast is at 12:30 p.m.
It's like
I
7
thought it was
hours
in
or
the
something.
morning. Thought one time it was like 5 a.m.
I
and
don't
he was
fucking
up.
know,
I don't
man.
know,
That
but
was probably Australia.
I'm gonna stop calling him Valiant. His name's Paris. Paris.
What
Okay.
morph is that snake? That was a dog, I think.
By Shrek.
Bye, lily pad. What'd she say?
The onions for the dog roast. She's gonna roast Dixie. Or feed her to the olive python, so she's gonna roast Dixie. Eaten. Dog eat dog. Haha. Okay. Let's hopefully it'd be really exciting that next week it will actually be like our 2,000 subscribers special thing.
Yeah,
like,
all we have to do is get 7 follower and subscriber.
You're struggling to even say that.
A subscriber a day. Can we do it?
Yes, 1 subscriber a day for the next
hit it probably at the end of this.
Oh, also Lilypad says we have to call her Rebecca if we call him Paris. Yeah, but Lilypad is
Lilypad,
great.
I like that.
Valiant is just weird. It doesn't roll off the tongue. Wow. It's weird.
Gonna make it personal, but I mean.
Okay. Sorry, I broke up our ending. Yes, let's get 7 subscribers for the next thing. We can get to.
What are you even talking about?
Subscribers for the next
trying
podcast.
To put that into the ether to make it happen?
Yes.
Is that what?
Speak it into existence.
Oh. Well, yeah, we do believe in the secret here. That's why we.
In the secret?
Yeah, the secret. That's what you were just talking about.
What the fuck is the
manifesting it by saying it. Remember, the secret is you have to like put up shit on your vision wall, and then if you look at it every day, it will become clear. It was a book like back in the day. It's pretty much all bullshit.
Did you read this book?
No, I think my mom did. I think I listened to the audio, but it's like you need to take actionable steps to manifest the secret.
Okay.
So it's like you can have a house on your bulletin board, but if you keep the same job all the time and never make any more money, then it's like, how are you going to manifest your
ridiculous?
Oh no, it was just all bullshit.
Lilypad says Scientology. Sounds like okay. Like, comment, subscribe. Port City Pythons on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Tell your friends. Next week, geneticism.
Yeah, you can't even say.
Can't even say it. No beer. Adios, amigos.
Coffee. Lots of coffee.
Okay.
And Adderall.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Wow, don't do that.